The night began with silence. In the village of Kawara, silence was a bad sign. Kawara was a land where sound never truly slept. Even in the deepest night, the wind whispered through tall grass, insects sang near the riverbanks, and distant drums spoke softly to the ancestors. But on this night, everything stopped. No wind. No insects. No drums. Only firelight moved, shaking like a frightened child. At the center of the village sat Amara, a woman of calm eyes and quiet strength. She knelt beside the fire, stirring a pot of millet porridge. The flames painted her face with orange and shadow. Her hands moved slowly, but her heart was restless. She felt it deep in her chest, like a drum beating the wrong rhythm. Something was coming. Amara was the wife of Kato, a respected hunter. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and known across the savannah for his sharp spear and fearless heart. The elders often praised him. The women admired him. The men trusted him. To the village, Kato was strong. To Amara, he had once been gentle. She remembered the early days of their marriage, the laughter, the long walks near the river, the way he spoke her name like a prayer, but time had changed his voice. Now when he spoke, his words were short. His eyes often looked past her as if she were smoke. Still, Amara remained loyal. In Kawara, marriage was sacred. The ancestors watched everything. Behind Amara's hut lived her mother, Markina. Markina was a woman the village feared and respected at the same time. Her back was bent with age, but her eyes were sharp like a hawk's. She knew old songs, old herbs, old secrets. When children fell sick, Markina healed them. When elders dreamed strange dreams, they came to her for meaning. Some whispered that Markina walked between worlds. Amara trusted her mother with her life. That night, as Amara stirred the pot, she felt cold fingers crawl along her spine. She turned slowly. Behind her stood Markina. "You feel it too," Markina said softly. Amara nodded. "The night is wrong." Markina looked toward the dark forest. The spirits are holding their breath. Before Amara could speak again, footsteps broke the silence. Kato returned from the hunt. He entered the firelight carrying no animal, no pride. His face was tense. His eyes avoided Amara's. He dropped his spear against the hut wall and sat without a word. Amara served him food. He did not thank her. Markina watched quietly, her eyes following every movement, every breath. The fire crackled once, loud, sharp. Kato flinched. That was when Amara knew something inside him was broken. Later that night, when the moon climbed high, Amara lay beside Kato on the mat. His body was stiff, his breath uneven. He did not touch her, he did not turn toward her. Amara closed her eyes, but sleep refused her. From outside, she heard footsteps again. Soft, careful. A shadow passed the doorway. Amara's eyes opened. Her heart began to race. She listened. The footsteps moved toward the back of the hut, toward Markina's hut. Amara sat up slowly. Kato was gone. Her chest tightened. She wrapped a cloth around herself and stepped into the night. The air was cold now. The moon hid behind clouds. The village slept unaware. She followed the path behind her hut. Each step felt heavy. Her spirit screamed at her to stop, but her feet moved on. Markina's hut stood quietly. A small light glowed inside. Amara froze. She heard voices. One voice was low and familiar. Kato. The other was soft, older. Markina. Amara's hands trembled. She pressed her palm against the hut wall. The clay was warm. She heard Markina speak. "This path is cursed," Markina said. "The ancestors will not forgive this." Kato replied, his voice rough. "I cannot stop. I feel pulled, like something owns me." Amara felt the world spin. She wanted to scream, to run, to wake the village. But her body refused. The hut door creaked slightly. Amara stepped back into shadow. Moments later, Kato slipped out, adjusting his cloth. His face was pale. His eyes looked wild. He did not see Amara as he walked past her back toward their hut. Amara collapsed to her knees. The ground felt cold, dead. Her husband, her mother. The betrayal cut deeper than any spear. The ancestors had warned them. The elders had spoken of such sins in old stories. When blood crossed forbidden lines, disaster followed, crops failed, children vanished, spirits walked freely. Amara covered her mouth to silence her sobs. From the forest came a sound. A drum. One single beat. Boom. Amara looked up. No drummer stood there. The sound came from the trees themselves. Boom. Boom. Her breath caught. Markina stepped out of her hut. She saw Amara, their eyes met. For the first time in her life, Amara saw fear in her mother's face. "You should not have followed," Markina whispered. Tears streamed down Amara's face. "Why?" Markina opened her mouth, but before she could speak, the wind returned suddenly, fierce and angry. Firelight danced wildly. The drumbeats grew louder, echoing through the village. Boom. 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 Villagers began to wake, dogs howled, Barbies cried. An elder stepped out holding a staff. "The ancestors are angry," he shouted. The ground trembled slightly beneath their feet. Markina grabbed Amara's arm. Her grip was strong despite her age. "Listen to me carefully," she said. "This is no longer just about desire, a curse has awakened." Amara pulled her arm free. "You betrayed me." Markina's eyes filled with tears. "I betrayed myself first." Before Amara could answer, Kato emerged from the hut, confused and afraid. "What is happening?" he shouted. Lightning split the sky. For a moment, Amara saw something behind Kato. A tall shadow. Not human. Its eyes burned like fire. Then darkness swallowed everything. When morning came, Kawara would never be the same. And Amara's life had just begun its fall into shadow. Morning came to Kawara without blessing. The sun rose, but its light felt weak, like it was afraid to touch the land. A thin grey mist covered the village, crawling low over the ground. Chickens did not crow. Goats refused to leave their pens. Even the river nearby flowed slower, as if it carried sorrow. Amara sat outside her hut, her knees drawn to her chest. She had not slept. Her eyes burned from crying, but no tears came anymore. Inside her, something had hardened. Across the open space, villagers gathered in small groups. They whispered, they pointed. Their eyes moved between Amara, Kato and Markina. Nothing in Kawara stayed hidden for long. The elder Baba Tiro, keeper of village lore and ancestral memory, stood near the sacred baobab tree. His face was dark and serious. He struck his staff against the earth once. "Call them," he said. Two young warriors approached Amara's hut. They did not touch her, but their presence was heavy. "The council calls you," one said quietly. Amara rose slowly. Her legs felt weak, but her back stayed straight. She would not bend, not today. Kato already stood near the elders. He looked smaller than before. His shoulders slumped. His eyes were red and tired. When he saw Amara, guilt crossed his face, then fear. Markina stood apart, leaning on her carved walking stick. Her head was lowered. The powerful woman who once spoke boldly now looked like a shadow of herself. The villagers formed a wide circle. The baobab tree watched silently, its roots thick and ancient, like the fingers of the ancestors gripping the land. Baba Tiro spoke again. "Last night the drums of the unseen sounded, the wind screamed, the earth shook, such signs do not come without reason." He turned his gaze to Kato. "Hunter of Kawara, speak." Kato swallowed hard, his voice trembled. "I do not understand what has come over me. I feel pulled, like my spirit no longer belongs to me." Murmurs spread through the crowd. Baba Tiro turned to Markina. "Woman of herbs and secrets, speak." Markina lifted her head. Her eyes met Amara for a moment, then fell away. "A forbidden line has been crossed," she said softly. "The ancestors warned us in old stories. Blood must not mix in this way." A sharp cry rose from the crowd. Amara finally spoke. Her voice was calm, but it cut like a blade. "You speak of ancestors now, mother. Where were they when you entered my marriage bed?" The village gasped. Markina flinched as if struck. Baba Tiro raised his hand for silence. "Enough, this sin is deep, but judgment must follow wisdom." Before he could continue, a child screamed. Everyone turned. A young boy ran into the circle, tears streaming down his face. "My sister," he cried, "she will not wake up." Fear spread instantly. The elders rushed to the hut of the child's family. Inside, a little girl lay cold on her mat. Her eyes were open, staring at nothing. No sickness marked her body. No wound explained her death. Markina knelt beside the child. She touched her forehead, then pulled her hand back sharply. The spirits took her, Markina whispered. A woman wailed, others joined. The sound rose into the air like broken drums. Barbar closed his eyes. The ancestors have turned their faces away. Amara felt her knees weaken. This was not just betrayal anymore. Innocent blood had been touched by the curse. As the day passed, more signs appeared. Milk turned sour within moments. A hunter returned wounded by his own spear. Dark birds circled above the village, crying sharply. The river water grew cloudy and fish floated dead near the banks. Fear settled over Kawara like a heavy cloth. That night the elders gathered in the sacred hut. A fire burned in the center. Shadows danced on the walls, twisting into strange shapes. Amara was called inside. She sat among the elders, her heart pounding. Kato sat across from her, unable to meet her eyes. Markina sat near the fire, her face lit from below, making her look like someone from an old nightmare. Barbar spoke. This curse did not come alone, something has been awakened. An elder woman nodded. I dreamed of it last night. A spirit bound long ago by blood and sacrifice. It feeds on broken family bonds. Markina's hands shook. The Umodzi shadow, she whispered. The hut went silent. Amara had heard that name only once as a child. A spirit born when love turned to betrayal. A being that walked between desire and destruction. It was sealed generations ago, Barbar said slowly. Sealed when a woman chose truth over sin. All eyes turned to Amara. She felt a cold weight press on her chest. What does this mean? She asked. It means, the elder replied, that the one who was wronged now stands at the center of this storm. Kato jumped to his feet. Then punish me, he shouted. Spare the village. The fire flared suddenly, rising high. A deep voice echoed through the hut. No. The fire bent inward, forming a dark shape. Smoke twisted, becoming tall and thin. 2 burning eyes opened within it. The elders screamed. The Umodzi shadow had entered the sacred hut. It spoke without a mouth. The debt is not paid with pain alone, it is paid with truth and choice. Amara could not move. Fear wrapped around her like chains, yet something else stirred inside her. Anger, strength, purpose. The spirit turned toward her. Daughter betrayed by blood and vow, your heart bleeds loudest, your path will decide their fate. The fire died suddenly, the hut fell dark. When torches were lit again, the spirit was gone. The elders sat frozen. Barbar finally spoke. Amara, you must leave the village at dawn. Gasps filled the hut. Why? She asked. To seek the truth buried beyond our land, he said. In the red hills where ancestors speak through stone and bone. Markina stood up suddenly. I will go with her. Amara turned sharply. No. Silence fell between mother and daughter like a wall. This journey is mine, Amara said. You have already taken enough from me. Kato stepped forward. Let me go instead. Barbar shook his head. You are bound here, the spirit watches you closely. Outside, thunder rolled without rain. Amara rose. Fear still lived in her, but it no longer controlled her. If the ancestors demanded a path, she would walk it. As she stepped out into the night, the wind whispered her name. And deep in the forest, something smiled. Dawn came slowly, like it feared what it would reveal. A pale red light spread across Kawara. The mist lifted just enough to show tired faces and worried eyes. No drums played to send Amara on her journey. No songs followed her steps. Only silence and watching spirits. Amara stood at the edge of the village with a small woven bag. Inside were dried roots, a gourd of water, and a piece of red cloth her grandmother once gave her. She tied the cloth around her wrist. It felt warm, like a living thing. Barbar raised his staff. Do not turn back, he said. The path ahead listens. Amara nodded once. She did not look at Kato. She did not look at Markina. She stepped onto the narrow path leading east toward the red hills. The land changed as she walked. The village sounds faded. Grass grew taller, trees thickened, the air smelled of iron and old rain. Birds watched from branches but did not sing. Every step felt like she was walking deeper into a story already written. By midday the sun burned high, yet Amara felt cold. She heard whispers. At first she thought it was the wind, but the words became clearer. Turn back. Blood calls blood. She walks alone. Amara pressed her hand against her chest and kept moving. As evening approached, the forest opened into wide savanna. Red earth stretched far ahead, rising into hills shaped like sleeping beasts. Dark rocks stood like broken teeth. This was the land of old battles and older sacrifices. Amara felt it before she saw it. A presence. She stopped walking. The air thickened, the sky darkened suddenly, even though the sun had not yet set. The ground vibrated lightly beneath her feet. From behind a stone outcrop stepped a man. He was tall and thin, dressed in hunter's skins. His hair was braided with bone beads. His eyes were white like ash. You have walked far, daughter of betrayal, he said. Amara's heart raced, but she did not run. Who are you? I am Kweku, keeper of paths, he replied. Some call me guardian, some call me curse. She swallowed. Are you a spirit? He smiled slightly. I am what remains when men refuse to learn. He walked around her slowly, studying her face. You carry pain honestly, that is rare. Amara clenched her fists. The elders sent me for truth. Kweku nodded. Truth lives here, but it does not speak gently. He raised his hand and pointed to the hills. Follow the red stones. When the moon stands above the tallest hill, the ancestors will answer you. Before Amara could speak again, he faded into the air like smoke. Night fell fast. Amara followed the stones, her feet sore, her throat dry. The moon rose full and bright, painting the hills silver and blood red. At the base of the tallest hill stood a circle of standing stones. Bones lay scattered between them, old bones, cleaned by time. Amara stepped inside the circle. The air dropped cold instantly. The ground split slightly, and a low hum rose from below. The stones began to glow faintly. Then the voices came. Not whispers now. Clear, strong, many. She saw images fill the air around her. A woman long ago kneeling and crying, a man standing behind her. A child hidden in shadows, betrayal, desire, blood mixing wrongly. The woman turned toward Amara. She looked just like her. This curse began with us, the spirit woman said. I was your ancestor. Amara's breath caught. I loved blindly, the ancestor continued. I chose hunger over honor. When I crossed the forbidden line, the Umodzi shadow was born. The images changed, villages burning, crops dying, children lost. Why was it sealed? Amara asked, her voice shaking. Because another woman stood up, the ancestor said. She refused silence. She spoke truth before elders and spirits. She broke the cycle. The ancestor stepped closer. Now the cycle has returned. Amara felt tears fall. What must I do? The stones glowed brighter. The curse feeds on secrecy and shame, the ancestor said. It weakens when truth is spoken and choice is made freely. Choice, Amara whispered. Yes, the voice replied. You must decide who you are beyond what was done to you. Suddenly the ground shook violently. A shadow rose from the center of the circle. Tall, twisted, its eyes burned brighter than before. The Umodzi shadow had followed her. You seek to end me, it hissed, but I am fed well. It showed her visions. Kato standing alone, screaming her name. Markina kneeling, surrounded by dark spirits. The village cracking apart. You can destroy them, the shadow whispered. Give me your pain, I will make them suffer. Amara felt the temptation wrap around her heart. Rage burned hot, betrayal screamed for revenge. For a moment she wanted it. Then she remembered the child who died, the crying mother, the silent drums. No, Amara said firmly. The shadow recoiled slightly. I will not become you, she said. You were born from weakness, I choose strength. The shadow screamed, a sound like tearing earth. You cannot destroy me alone, it roared. Blood must answer blood. The ancestor's voice returned, calm and steady. Return home, the final truth waits there. The stones dimmed, the shadow retreated into the ground, laughing softly. Amara collapsed to her knees, exhausted. When she rose, the moon was sinking, dawn approached again. She began the journey back, her steps heavier but her heart clearer. Far away in Kawara, Kato woke screaming from a dream of fire and chains. Markina sat alone, staring at her hands, finally understanding the depth of her sin. And the ancestors watched closely, because the next choice would change everything. Amara returned to Kawara at dusk. The village looked smaller than before. The huts leaned like tired elders. Smoke rose weakly from cooking fires. No children played. No laughter moved through the air. Even the dogs lay still, their heads low, eyes watching shadows. As Amara stepped onto the village ground, the wind shifted. A low drumbeat sounded far away. Boom, boom. Not played by hands. Played by something unseen. Villagers came out slowly, their faces filled with fear and hope mixed together. They looked at Amara as if she carried both life and death on her shoulders. Baba Tiro walked forward, his staff trembling slightly in his grip. "You have returned," he said. "The land has been restless." Amara nodded. Her voice was quiet but steady. The curse was born from silence, it grows from lies. The elders exchanged uneasy looks. Before they could speak more, a scream tore through the village. It came from Markina's hut. Amara ran. Inside, Markina lay on the ground, her body shaking. Dark marks crawled along her arms like living veins. Her eyes were wide with terror. "It has come for me," Markina whispered. "I see it now." Amara knelt beside her mother. For a moment, old love fought with deep pain inside her chest. "What did you hide?" Amara asked. Markina gasped. "I thought I was protecting you." The ground rumbled. The fire inside the hut bent inward. Smoke twisted, forming the shape Amara knew too well. The Umodzi shadow filled the space, stretching its arms along the walls. "She lies even now," the shadow hissed. "Her silence fed me for years." Markina cried out. "I was young once, lonely, your father had died. Kato came to me for herbs for counsel, desire grew where it should not." The shadow laughed softly. "And you chose hunger over honor." Amara stood, her legs shook but she did not fall. "You knew the stories, you knew the price." Markina wept openly. "I feared shame more than truth." Outside, villagers gathered, hearing the screams, feeling the ground shake. Kato pushed through the crowd and entered the hut. When he saw Markina writhing on the ground and the shadow rising, his knees buckled. "This is my fault," he cried. "Punish me, end this." The shadow turned toward him. "You fed me willingly, your desire was sweet." Kato screamed as dark tendrils wrapped around his legs. He fell hard, clawing at the earth. Amara raised her voice. "Stop." The shadow paused. All eyes turned to her. "This ends now," she said. "No more secrets, no more hiding." She stepped outside the hut. The village square filled quickly. The elders, the women, the hunters, the children clinging to their mothers. The sky darkened though night had not yet come. Amara stood in the center. "Listen," she said. "This curse lives because shame was allowed to grow in silence. It will die only if truth is spoken in the open." Baba Tiro lowered his head. "Speak." Amara looked at Markina and Kato. Her voice shook but did not break. "My husband broke our marriage. My mother broke blood law. They betrayed me. They betrayed the ancestors." Gasps rippled through the crowd. The shadow rose higher, towering above them all. "Yes," it hissed. "Speak more, feed me." Amara clenched her fists. "No, I speak not to hide but to choose." She turned to Markina. "You taught me herbs and stories, you taught me strength, but you failed me as a mother." Markina sobbed. "I know." Amara turned to Kato. "You were my husband, you broke vows for desire." Kato bowed his head to the ground. "I accept my shame." The wind roared suddenly. The shadow screamed in anger. "Choice," it roared, "make it." Amara closed her eyes. She remembered the ancestors' words. "Choice." She opened her eyes again. "I choose not to destroy them," she said slowly. "I choose to free the village." The shadow recoiled violently. "Mercy weakens you." "Mercy strengthens me," Amara replied. She lifted the red cloth from her wrist and tied it around the sacred post in the center of the village. The cloth fluttered wildly. "Let all see," she shouted. "Let nothing remain hidden." The elders began to chant old words. The villagers joined, their voices shaky at first, then stronger. Drums began to beat again. Real drums. The shadow shrank, screaming as the sound filled the air. Markina screamed as the dark marks burned away from her skin. Kato cried out as the tendrils loosened. But the shadow did not disappear. It gathered itself one final time, its voice filled with rage. If I fall, blood must still pay. The ground split near the river. Water surged upward, flooding fields and huts near the banks. Panic spread. Amara ran toward the river. She stood at the edge as water rushed past her legs. She raised her arms. Ancestors, witness my choice. The wind stopped suddenly. The drums fell silent. The shadow hovered above the water, shaking. End me, it whispered, or I will take everything. Amara stepped forward into the river until the water reached her waist. I will not be ruled by pain, she said. I will be shaped by truth. The river glowed faintly. The shadow screamed as it was pulled downward, dissolving into mist and dark water. The earth stilled. The sky cleared. Silence returned, but this time it felt different. Alive. Amara collapsed to her knees in the water, exhausted. Villagers rushed forward, pulling her out. Markina lay still but breathing. Kato wept openly, his face buried in the dirt. The curse was not yet fully broken. But it was bleeding. And the final reckoning was coming. The night after the river calmed was heavier than all the nights before it. Kawara did not sleep. Fires burned in every corner of the village, not for warmth but for protection. Elders said fire was the only thing that made wandering spirits hesitate. The drums did not play songs. They beat slow, steady warnings. Boom, boom, boom. Amara sat alone near the sacred baobab tree. Her body ached. Her spirit felt stretched thin, like a rope pulled too far. She had faced the shadow and survived, but she knew the truth. The curse was wounded, not dead. Baba Tiro approached her quietly. His voice was low. The ancestors speak through signs, he said. Tonight they demand balance. Amara looked up. What do they want? Judgment, he answered. Across the village, Markina lay inside the healing hut. Her breath was shallow. The dark marks were gone, but her eyes stared at nothing, like she was seeing a world beyond this one. Kato sat outside her hut, rocking back and forth. His hands shook. Guilt wrapped around him tighter than chains. As midnight approached, the wind returned again. This time it did not rage. It whispered. The flames bent inward, shadows stretched long and thin, children cried and clung to their mothers. From the forest came a sound like dry bones scraping stone. The Umodzi shadow had not left Kawara. It rose at the edge of the village, weaker than before but still dangerous. Its shape flickered, breaking and reforming. You thought mercy would end me, it hissed, but mercy without payment leaves hunger. The elders gathered quickly in the center of the village. Baba Tiro raised his staff. Spirit, he called out, state your demand. The shadow laughed softly. Blood created me, blood must close the circle. Fear swept through the crowd. A warrior shouted, take the guilty. Others murmured in agreement. Amara stood. Her voice cut through the noise, no more hiding behind others. She walked forward until she stood between the village and the shadow. If blood is required, she said, let truth decide whose. The shadow's burning eyes fixed on her, then let the fire judge. The ground trembled. Suddenly fire burst from the earth in a wide circle around the village square. Not wildfire, sacred fire. Blue and orange flames rose without smoke, forming a boundary no one could cross. The elders gasped. Baba Tiro whispered, the trial of the ancestors. Few had seen it, fewer survived it. 3 figures were pulled into the circle by unseen force. Amara, Kato, Markina. Markina screamed as she was dragged from the hut, her strength suddenly returning as fear flooded her body. The fire sealed them inside. The village watched in silence, tears shining in the firelight. The shadow hovered above the flames. Speak, it commanded, let your hearts burn bare. The fire shifted. Images rose from the flames. Kato saw himself as a young man, proud and admired. He saw his hunger for praise, his weakness when desire called. He fell to his knees. I chose myself, he cried. I broke vows because I wanted to feel powerful. The fire flared brighter near him. Markina screamed as her memories surfaced. Loneliness, fear of agging, fear of being forgotten, desire dressed as comfort. I knew it was wrong, she sobbed, but I chose silence, I chose shame over truth. The flames crept closer to her feet. Then the fire turned to Amara. She saw herself kneeling by the fire on the first night. Loyal, trusting, silent even when pain whispered warnings. She spoke softly. I ignored my own spirit, I believed endurance was strength. The fire stilled. The shadow roared, confession feeds me, now payment. The flames surged toward Markina and Kato. Markina screamed, Kato reached for Amara. Save them, he begged. Amara's heart tore open. She remembered the ancestors' words again. Joyce. She stepped forward directly into the fire. The villagers screamed. But the flames did not burn her. She lifted her head, take me instead. The shadow paused. The elders gasped. Markina cried out no. Amara's voice was strong. This cycle ends with me, I will not let it pass to another generation. The fire reacted. It shifted color, turning gold. The shadow screamed in fear, you deny me. I deny you power, Amara said. You exist because people hide, I stand openly. She turned to the villagers. Witness everything, let no truth be buried again. The drums began to beat faster. Boom, boom, boom. The shadow began to shrink, pulled downward by the golden fire. But it fought back. Dark tendrils lashed out, striking Markina and Kato. Markina collapsed, coughing blood. Kato screamed as his legs gave way. Amara cried out, her strength fading. The ancestor spirits appeared then, rising like light from the flames. Men, women, children, all watching. One spirit stepped forward, the same ancestor from the Red Hills. Enough, she said. She looked at Amara. You chose truth over revenge, you chose responsibility over escape. The ancestor raised her hand. The fire roared once more, then collapsed inward, swallowing the shadow completely. The scream that followed shook the mountains. Then silence. The flames died. Amara fell to the ground, unconscious. When morning came, the village would wake to answers. But first, someone would pay the final price. Morning came slowly to Kawara. The sun rose gentle and clean, like it was careful not to disturb what remained. The sky held soft gold and pale blue. Birds returned to the trees. For the first time in many days, they sang. The drums were silent. Not because of fear. Because there was nothing left to warn. Amara lay on the ground at the center of the village. Her body was still. Her breathing was shallow. Villagers stood around her, afraid to touch her, afraid to hope. Baba Tiro knelt beside her. He pressed his fingers to her neck. She lives, he said. A wave of breath moved through the crowd. Kato lay not far away, his legs twisted beneath him, unable to move. His face was grey, his eyes empty. He stared at the sky like a man who had lost the right to look forward. Markina lay wrapped in cloth near the sacred post. Blood stained the fabric. Her chest rose and fell weakly. The proud woman of secrets was broken now, reduced to breath and regret. The elders gathered. The shadow is gone, one said quietly. But the price remains, another answered. As the sun climbed higher, Amara opened her eyes. Pain rushed through her body like fire, but her mind was clear. She sat up slowly. The village froze. She looked around and saw the faces. Fear, relief, shame, respect. Baba Tiro helped her to her feet. You stood where many would have chosen revenge, he said. The ancestors saw. Amara looked toward Kato and Markina. Her heart did not burn anymore. It ached. The curse is ended, she said softly, but endings do not erase choices. The elders nodded. By midday, the council called everyone to the sacred tree. This time there was no chaos, no fear-driven shouting, only quiet listening. Baba Tiro raised his staff. The ancestors have spoken. The shadow fed on betrayal and silence. It was destroyed by truth and choice. He turned to Kato. You broke sacred vows, the elder said. Not by force but by desire, the law of Kawara is clear. Kato tried to stand and failed. He bowed his head. I accept whatever comes. You will leave this land, Baba Tiro said. You will never take a wife again. You will live as a wanderer, carrying your shame openly so it cannot grow in darkness. The sentence struck harder than death. Kato cried openly, not loudly, not in anger. In understanding. He did not look at Amara. He only said, I am sorry. Then the elders turned to Markina. The crowd shifted uncomfortably. Markina struggled to sit up, her voice was weak. I betrayed blood, she said. I betrayed my daughter, I accept judgment. Baba Tiro's voice softened. Your knowledge healed many, your silence destroyed more. Markina nodded, I know. You will remain, he said, but you will no longer speak as a guide. You will serve, you will clean, you will listen. Your wisdom will return only through humility. Tears ran down Markina's face. She looked at Amara. I am sorry, she whispered. Amara did not answer immediately. The village waited. Finally, Amara stepped forward. I was wronged, she said, deeply. Her voice did not shake. But if my life becomes only revenge, then the shadow still wins. She turned to Markina. You will live with what you did, that is punishment enough. She turned to Kato. You will walk away from everything you valued, that is justice. The elders bowed their heads. The village murmured approval. That evening the land began to heal. The river cleared, fish returned, crops lifted their heads, children laughed again, the drums played songs of renewal. But healing does not mean forgetting. Kato was given food and a walking stick. At dawn the next day he left Kawara alone, never to return. His shadow stretched long behind him, but it no longer burned. Markina lived. She aged quickly after that day. Her hair turned fully white, her hands shook when she worked, she spoke little. When she did, it was only when asked. She never again hid truth. As for Amara, the village changed how they looked at her. Not as a victim. Not as a weapon. But as a pillar. Months passed. One evening, Baba Tiro called Amara to the sacred tree. The ancestors have given you a path, he said. Will you walk it? Amara understood. She had crossed fire and shadow. She had faced betrayal without becoming cruel. She had chosen truth when silence would have been easier. I will, she said. Amara became a voice of balance. She did not rule. She listened. She taught the young girls that endurance without truth is not strength. She taught the young men that desire without honor leads only to ruin. She reminded elders that silence can be as dangerous as lies. Years later, when children asked about the night the drums stopped, Amara told them this. A curse is not born from desire alone. It is born when people choose to hide the truth. She would point to the river, see how it flows clean because nothing blocks it. She would point to the fire, see how it warms but does not destroy because it is respected. And she would say, when betrayal comes, you have two paths. Revenge feeds darkness, truth ends it. The ancestors watched Kawara with calm eyes once more. And the land remembered. Final moral lesson. Betrayal destroys families, but silence destroys generations. Revenge creates new curses, but truth breaks old ones. Only those who choose honesty over anger can truly be free. The end.